Have you ever wondered why your neighbor's solar system looks similar to yours, but their price was thousands of dollars higher? One of the biggest costs in a solar installation is in the choice of inverter. And most people don't even think about inverters until really far into this process. This is Ryan, and this series is called Better Solar, where I break down how solar really works so you can make smarter choices, save money, and avoid the mistakes I've seen too many homeowners make. Today, we're tackling one of the most important decisions in any solar installation. Should you go with microinverters, or should you go with a string inverter? Both have pros and cons, and I'll share what I've learned from real installations here in Iowa. Let's start with the basics. Solar panels themselves produce direct current, DC power, but your house runs on alternating current, AC power. So every solar system needs an inverter, something that converts DC to AC. Inverters work by rapidly switching the DC voltage on and off with transistors and MOSFETs to shape it into a smooth 60 Hz alternating current that matches the grid. A string inverter is the older, simpler design. All your panels get wired together in series, just like Christmas lights, and the combined power runs into a single inverter box. That box is usually mounted near your electric panel, and it does all the DC to AC conversion in one place. A microinverter works differently. Instead of one box for the whole array, each solar panel gets its tiny inverter, usually mounted right underneath the panel. So the conversion from DC to AC happens panel by panel. That's the technical difference, but let's get into what it actually means for your wallet, your performance, and your peace of mind. Here's what I've learned over years of doing installs. Microinverters are the best choice if your roof has any shading. This happens because with a string inverter, the panels are all wired together. If one panel is shaded and producing less, the entire string of panels slows down to match the weakest. This happens based on the way the electrical resistance in the circuit changes when solar power is shaded. That means a single tree branch can reduce output across your entire solar system. With microinverters, every panel works independently. If one panel is shaded, the others are unaffected and keep producing at full power. I've seen this make a huge difference for homeowners with complex roof lines or even just a couple of shade issues. So if you have a roof with multiple angles, dormers cutting into it, skylights, or a tree nearby, microinverters offer much better performance. But here's the flip side. Microinverters are much more expensive than string inverters. The cost difference is huge. For a 7-kilowatt system, which might be enough to power your typical home, microinverters can add several $1,000s compared to a single central string inverter. That's why if you've got a big, simple roof with no shading at all, a nice south-facing roof line with nothing in the way, a string inverter can save you a lot of money up front. You'll get very close to the same production without the extra cost of micros. There are also string inverter systems with optimizers that can actually help minimize shading issues, allowing you to balance between cost and performance. Let me share with you a couple of real-world examples. One customer I worked with had a clean, wide-open roof facing south with not a single tree anywhere nearby. The natural decision was a string inverter, and the system cranks out power without any issues. If we had used microinverters, it would have cost them thousands more for no performance benefit. But another customer lived in a neighborhood with oak trees. Their roof got partial shade in the morning and late afternoon. We installed microinverters, and their panels are able to produce most efficiently whenever they get the most sunlight. With micros, the panels that were in the sun kept producing at full power even when other parts of the roof were shaded. If they had gone with a string inverter, output would have been far lower. There's also the question of monitoring. With microinverters, you can track the performance of every single panel individually. If one panel drops out, you'll see it right away. With a string inverter, unless you're using certain kinds of optimizers which add a lot to the cost, you only see the total system output. So if one panel fails, it can take longer to notice. On the other hand, string inverters are far easier to service. If something breaks, you just replace the one box on the wall. The trouble is rarely with the panels themselves. It's the inverter that is doing most of the complicated work. With micros, you'd have to go on the roof and swap out the inverter under a panel. That's not hard, but it's more labor. Let's talk about reliability. Microinverters have more electronics spread across your roof, which means more potential points of failure. But to be fair, they come with long warranties, often 20 to 25 years. String inverters usually have 10 to 12-year warranties, though you can buy extended coverage. In many cases, the warranties balance out the risk. From what I've seen, failures aren't super common either way, but they can happen more with cheaper microinverters. And when they do happen, the service process is different. That's something to think about. Here's the takeaway. If your roof is shaded, microinverters will give you better performance. If your roof is wide, clear, and sunny all day, a string inverter will be far cheaper and more efficient. Microinverters give you per-panel monitoring and better shade tolerance. String inverters are cheaper and simpler, but less flexible. That's the key decision. Do you want to save money, or do you need the performance? So now I want to hear from you. Do you think microinverters are worth the higher cost, or would you stick with a string inverter and save the upfront investment? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and click this video to learn why you can't just run to Harbor Freight and buy solar panels for your house.